Hey, what's up guys, Matt Shiny here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be going over the full investing guide for Stockholm 2021. I wanted to wait, I don't want to say as long as possible, but I wanted to make sure that everything was most likely going to seem pretty stable once I put together this video. I wanted to make sure that that Turkish incident was fully accounted for and some other things like that. So we're going to be going into everything I see has at least somewhat of an investment potential here. But before we hop on into this one, guys, if you're looking to pick up any CSGO skins, I've got a couple links down in the description. Let's hop on into it. First up here, I want to talk about one thing I think everyone can roughly agree on at this point, and that's going to be the patch packs. Now, the patch packs, although they are pretty cool looking, unfortunately, in my opinion, they don't offer much investment potential. I mean, your top golds really are not even worth that much, so I don't see a lot of potential here moving forward. I think they're definitely a cool item, however, I don't see enough demand for them down the road, especially if the next major, which is one common occurrence for this video, is that this major is not going to be a one-off thing. We're going to have majors every, we'll say 8 months at the latest, but most likely around 6 months. And that's something that we got to keep in the back of our heads. So overall, for the patch packs at least, personally, I think you're definitely going to be getting at least a better ROI staying away from these at this point. I don't see a lot of potential. I see a high amount of quantity, a low amount of demand, and honestly something that's going to be as reoccurring as these patch packs, which I assume are probably going to be coming back for every major at this point. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. I think that's definitely going to be something that's going to be returning and therefore not the greatest idea to invest in. Next up, we're going to move on into our player autographs capsules. First up, starting here with the champions. Now, the champions one has surprised me a lot. Honestly, I didn't think the simple gold would be sitting at the price point it's at. Currently, it's at around that $50 price point, which is extremely high in my opinion based on how many capsules have been unboxed. This obviously shows one thing, and that is there is an extremely high amount of demand for these capsules, and specifically the simple gold. That's what this capsule is going to be entirely based upon, is the growth of the simple gold and the autograph. I don't think that honestly, any of the other ones are really going to be that relevant here. The main thing for me, and at least with this capsule, is the simple gold going to maintain its price once the next major comes out, or even looking before that. Now, if the next major comes out and the simple gold starts to go down, that's still 6 months out in the future. If we're looking at the short term here, I think there definitely is some potential, especially when we look for that sale to happen and these capsules go to 25 cents, which has already happened. That's one of the big milestones in my opinion. There's two big milestones, and that one we saw a pretty significant price drop, but not 75% off. This autograph was going for roughly around $80 before that sale happened, and we're sitting at $50 now. That's only 38% rounded up slightly for a capsule that's 25 cents and 75% off. For the autograph to only be 38% off what original price was, that either means that there is an extremely high amount of demand now, or that the autograph was already underpriced to begin with, which I don't think necessarily is true here because most people expected a sale, so it's definitely not going to be exactly 75%, but for it to be half of that at 38%, I think that's definitely a little bit unreasonable, and it's very interesting in my opinion. Now, I think this capsule definitely does have a future, but it all depends on that next major. In my opinion, this capsule definitely holds a decent amount of potential, but it's all going to be on if that simple gold is able to maintain its price point once we've had no professional Counter-Strike major for a month or two. If we're looking 2 months out in the future, is it at a lower price point and a significantly lower price point? That's not going to be very good for the capsule. Now, when we look at the finalist capsule, it's a little bit more complex because it's not dependent on that simple gold autograph. Rather, it's dependent on a lot of different factors. And honestly, to me, it's really interesting how complex it is because there are 35 different players in this capsule. That means if one of those 30 that really have a low price point in their gold. Like we've got Nico and a couple other main ones that are extremely high in their gold price, but we've got 25, 30 players that really have a low price point for their gold. If one of them goes off and has an absolutely crazy season or just year, we could definitely see this price point of the capsule impacted, and that's why I think this one is so complex. Overall though, I think there definitely is going to be some investment potential here along with the other autograph capsule. I want to keep this one a little bit shorter just because I think there's going to be a lot of repeating information. Obviously it's not the exact same because there's 7 times more teams, but this one is definitely going to be potentially a little bit more expensive than the champions, because if Nico starts to go off and the gold price doubles or triples its current price, that's going to lead a lot of these to be opened, and you've got a significantly less chance of getting this versus the simple. Simple, you've got a 1 in 5 of getting the correct gold. This is the gold we're talking about, which is 1 in 156. However, here you've got a 1 in 35 chance of getting that 1 in 156 chance of getting that gold. So there's definitely going to be a lot more factors that impact it here. However, it's all dependent on if that Nico gold or potentially another gold starts to go up in price significantly, and if the demand once again is still there for it in the next upcoming months. Moving on into our sticker capsules here, this video is already running a little bit longer, so I'm going to group these 3 all together to talk about them. First up, you've got the Legends. Now the Legends specifically has always had a significantly higher amount of quantity out there, and that's because the demand is going to be the highest. This is the one that contains all the teams you're looking for, especially here we've got Navi, G2, Liquid, Vitality, NIP, Furia, Gambit. Those 7 teams are all top tier teams. Unfortunately, Evil Genius is in there, but that could be a fortunate for you if you're looking for the prices of the other ones to be a little bit higher. Now, for me, I think there's definitely a lot of investment potential here with the Legends just because we've got that Navi and G2 combo. Those are the 2 most popular teams right now, in my opinion, and Liquid is the most popular NA team. So I definitely think you've got a good combo going here. Overall, my big takeaway for the Legends is it's going to have a high amount of demand and an extremely high amount of supply. Now, I think that demand is going to be a bit higher than the supply. Even though the supply is extremely high at this point, I think there's definitely going to be a ton of demand for this one down the road. Next up then, we've got the Contenders. Now the Contenders is extremely interesting because it actually contains a pretty decent amount of teams you would actually want. You've got Entropic, which the foil sticker has been going crazy in price. You've got Copenhagen Flames, Renegades, the only Oceanica team. You've got FaZe, Tyloo, and VP. All of these teams are pretty popular teams here. So like the Legends, I think this one definitely has a lot of potential moving forward. And if we go back to the amount of quantity listed on the market, now this is not a great indicator, however, it's a very rough indicator, and at this point it's something that we need to use because we don't really have an idea of how many of these are out there. Currently on the market, we've got a 10-to-1 ratio of Legends to Contenders here, so the Contenders is definitely going to be having a lower supply, which is definitely a plus for the capsule if you're looking to invest into it. Obviously, there's going to be a bit lower demand. However, I feel like with the Contenders here, there's definitely going to be a lot of profit if we see one of these teams, Copenhagen Flames, FaZe, Entropic, VP, or even Godsent or Renegades. Those are all teams that I could potentially see doing very well in the future, and if this is one of their best looking stickers, this one could definitely be doing well down the line. Finally then, we've got the Challengers capsule. Now the Challengers capsule is very interesting because in my opinion, it's extremely crazy how low the amount of quantity that are listed on the market is at. This one, obviously you can tell there's not as much demand for it, but with a team like Astralis in here, I think this capsule definitely has a lot of potential moving forward. You've got Heroic, Big, Mouse, and Astralis, and even Ents if there's still some Ents fans out there at this point, but I think there's definitely a lot of potential with this one moving forward just based on the teams inside of it alone. This one's going to be neglected when it comes to the top things to invest into, in my opinion, just because people are going to look at this team lineup. They're going to say Astralis is decent. Otherwise, though, there's not going to be too much there. In my opinion, I think this one definitely does have a lot of potential, but the demand is going to be extremely low. So if we see a lot of people looking to invest into this one, it's not going to do very well. It's going to be kind of a high risk, high reward. Obviously, there's not really much risk here. I think your risk is really going to be coming from whether you break even or go into the profit and how long it takes. However, I think this one definitely does stand a pretty decent investing chance, all depending on how many people go into it, because if there's not a ton of people going into it in the mainstream investing area, this one definitely could be walking away with a pretty decent price point, keeping up with the legends, or maybe having 4/5 of the legends price in the early stages. And once we progress on into the pretty late stage, like past the next major, this one could definitely keep up with the rest of the capsules and could potentially overtake them. Now that's all dependent on the supply though, so this one's very going to be supply dependent, whereas the other ones, the demand will take it. This one, there's a set amount of demand and the supply is going to be the determining factor. My final topic I want to hit here is the souvenir packages. Now these ones, there's a lot to break down, but honestly we can group it into two groups here. We've got our ones that are brand new and our ones that are old. First up, the ones that are old: Inferno, Overpass, and Nuke. Honestly, I don't see a ton of potential with these ones just because they are not going to have very much demand. In the previous past majors, these have only risen because of time and because of everything we saw in 2020. There's nothing in here that's really profitable to open. They're a bad idea to open, as with all souvenir packages, but at least with the new 4 that we're going to mention in a minute, you have a chance of getting a red souvenir worth thousands of dollars. Here, there is not that opportunity, so I think these ones are definitely going to be struggling when compared to the brand new 4, in my opinion. And honestly, I've got a couple of each of them just in case, but I don't see a ton of potential with these ones moving forward, and I've just kind of got them just as a very low chance that something crazy does happen. Next up then, we've got our brand new 4. Now these 4, it's very hard to talk about investing into them because it all depends on one thing. What is the drop pool or the active duty pool going to be for the next major? I believe one of these 7 maps is probably going to go between the end of Operation Riptide and the beginning of the brand new major. In those couple months there, we're going to see a change in the map pool, in my opinion. I think one of these is going to go, one of these 7, and if it's one of these brand new 4, you can be in for an extremely high amount of money. I think we're going to see Train potentially come back in. We might see Cash or Cobble potentially come back in. I think it's really weird and almost foreshadowing like that we see a 2021 Train collection, because they could have made that any map. However, they chose Train, which is not in the active duty pool. I think it's a little bit more foreshadowing than people like to think about. People were very confused when the Prisma case went straight to the rare pool rather than going to the non-prime pool, and soon after we saw the non-prime pool just completely dissipate. Those cases all went into the rare and it was gotten rid of. I think that's potentially what could be happening here with the 2021 Train collection. We're going to see it come back, so the main thing is which of these 4 is going to be going out. Now in my opinion, Mirage is probably going to be the most popular answer of which one is going out, not because of the souvenir contents, rather just because I think people have really been pushing that Mirage needs a new updated map for a long time now. Whether that actually holds any value in Valve's eyes is a discussion of its own. However, I think any 4 of these, you're going to be pretty decent split investing across the 4. I'm personally going to go a little bit more heavy into the Vertigo and Dust 2. I think the Mirage is definitely going to be popular. However, I think it's going to be a little bit falling behind the other ones just because there is a ton of them out there. The Op Desert Hydra is extremely cool, but it's also got like double the amount that the Gold Arabesque does. And although the demand is significantly lower for the M4A1S Imminent Danger, only 38 out there offers a really lucrative investment opportunity for these. If the packages are removed, if Vertigo is the one to go, which I do consider an extremely low chance, honestly. Vertigo and Ancient are both ones that odds are they're going to be staying. However, there is definitely a potential for them to go. I do consider it extremely low though. But 38 out there, I think this one could definitely dominate the market in price. I think a lot of people are concerned with how it looks, and I definitely do agree with that. In my opinion though, I think all four of these are pretty decent, and as long as you're split investing across the 4 or potentially the 7, if you really want to go that way, you're going to be doing decent, because I think one of these maps is going to be removed, and that's the main dependent thing here. Is it doesn't matter which necessarily collection you go into, it depends on which one is removed. And potentially, if you're there for that, when one of these is removed, you can make some really easy profit by snagging up all of those off the market. Overall though, that's really all I have for today. I was going to mention a little bit more of some other stuff like the pass, but honestly, who's investing into the pass at this point? The pass is pretty much a worthless investment. It's just going to decrease in value. No one really cares about the Stockholm bronze coin, let's be honest. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you watched till the end here. This one is definitely one of the longer ones, but I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you have any comments, questions, anything like that, drop them down in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to discuss with you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.